Shane Wade does not mention on his IMDb that he was involved in events with us. Hi and welcome to Blossom Talk. I'm Kjersti Flaa, and here on my channel I talk about my good and bad experiences in Hollywood with celebrities and working as an entertainment reporter. First of all, thank you guys so much for all your engagement and support and beautiful emails and also all your amazing tips. I've received so many, and yeah, it's very interesting where this crazy drama is going. I also wanted to give a shout out to some of the people who sent me emails that were very personal, and I received one especially that was so touching to me from a woman who said that she had experienced being bullied her whole life. And I just hearing something like that just breaks my heart. I can't even imagine and put my mindset into something like that. My experience with Blake Lively was such a minor thing that happened one day, you know, and it's nothing that affected me for the rest of my life. But she was so happy to see that I could turn that experience into something positive. But it's so heartwarming to me that someone can feel comfort in what I do and maybe get inspired to even speak up about it, because I think that's so important. When you experience something like that in your life, speak up about it. Don't let it happen to you. Don't let people bully you. No one deserves to get bullied. And then I had another person reaching out to me, and she said she was dealing with anxiety and depression, and that following this whole saga has kind of taken their minds off their own problems. And I think that goes for a lot of us, because I remember during the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial, I was going through a difficult time in my life, and I think it was even during COVID, so we were all a bit depressed. And I think getting into someone else's problems is sometimes kind of can be a relief for yourself. So yeah. Also, I received a video that made me cry. I don't know if you guys remember this, if you've seen it. But before it ends with this premiere, Justin Baldoni was tagged by this woman, or this young woman who was diagnosed with cancer. She knew that she had limited time to live, and she reached out to him and said that he was on her bucket list to meet him, and he invited her to the premiere, and he made a video about it. And it's so touching, and you know, the way that he embraced her and made the evening about her. They even sang a song for her. But the fact that they were put in the basement during this premiere, it's just like so heartbreaking to me. I can't imagine what that must have felt like for Justin Baldoni when he invited this girl. You know, she arrived in a wheelchair, and then you have to put her down in the basement with her terminal cancer. It's just, to me, this just proves how brutal this whole thing is, how inconsiderate people are. And I just find it extremely disturbing. Which again proves how badly he was being treated, and how badly his friends and family, and even this young woman who was dying from cancer, that they put in the basement. I mean, who does that? Yesterday, I reported on something that a lot of YouTubers have been talking about, an old Reddit post that all of a sudden appeared again. Now, when I look back, I'm like, does anyone really have the link to that Reddit post directly? Or is it just the one we see that is pasted in a new Reddit post? So for all we know, that could be fake. I don't know. I reported it as well, so I'm not going to sit here and throw stones in a glass house, but I have to say that we all have to be careful, including me. So if anyone has the direct link to that or know where it actually came from, please let me know. I'm very interested to see if it actually was posted or if someone just made that up. Also, it was recently reported that Taylor Swift and Blake Lively are not really that close anymore. Taylor Swift is choosing to take a step back. I asked a British friend of mine who worked for British media for many, many years, and I said, you know, if they're saying sources in Daily Mail, should we trust it? Because she has connections in Daily Mail. And she said, I wouldn't, and laughing about it. So I don't know if actually someone came to the Daily Mail and said that Taylor Swift is taking a step back, or if that's something that just like, I don't know, someone made up. But today I saw that Page 6 is reporting that Taylor Swift is not taking a step back from Blake Lively. And she has invited both her and Ryan to come to the Super Bowl. So I don't know what to believe. I feel like as long as we just see sources close to the person, I would take it with a grain of salt. So let's see if they show up together at the Super Bowl or not. I also want to say thank you to the person who sent me this video. This is an interview that Blake Lively did back in August on Capital FM in the UK. And it's pretty obvious now when you look back and watch this interview what had actually happened. One of the big things I took from this interview is that Blake Lively is talking about the editor Shane Reed, who was working with her on the Taylor Swift video that Blake Lively directed. And she said he was such an amazing editor that she reached out to him for him to come and finish the edit of It Ends With Us.
One of our editors, Shane Reed, who, fun fact, he was my editor on Taylor's music video that I directed, and he never edited a movie before. He just finished Deadpool and Wolverine, and he came on and helped us with this one.
Shane Reed does not mention on his IMDb that he was involved in It Ends With Us. So this is just a deal that they did together, apparently, that obviously I don't think even Sony knew about that, as they didn't know that Ryan Reynolds had written the rooftop scene, which also Blake Lively bragged about, and that you saw in Justin Baldoni's lawsuit that he was pointing out, that Sony was pointing out, like, can you stop Blake Lively from saying that Ryan Reynolds actually wrote the scene, because we haven't credited him. And, you know, these are legal issues as well. If you have been a part of a movie, you need to get credit for that. And of course, also get paid for that. In the same interview, she also mentions the composer, that they loved the composer so much that they contacted him. He was working on the Deadpool versus Wolverine movie. So yeah, that is a fact now. We know that they booted out the one that Justin Baldoni had found.
Yeah, and we share the same composer as well from Deadpool and Wolverine. So there's a lot of sharing happening.
So it's so obvious to me now how this whole thing has been a collaboration between her and Ryan, and that Justin Baldoni was completely squeezed out. The thing is, I've also seen all the interviews I've seen with Blake Lively about this time when she was promoting It Ends With Us. She never mentioned Justin Baldoni, ever. But he's asked about her, and he talks so highly of her. And I think that says a lot about him as a character. You know, that he's willing to go that extra step, not to throw anyone under the bus. So that really makes me respect him as a man and as a director. Another thing that I noticed in that interview is, like, I see this kind of tendency from Blake Lively. This reporter, the interviewer, she was very bubbly and sweet in her approach to her. And at the end of the interview, she said, "Oh, do you have any hidden tattoos? I had a tattoo that because I really wanted one, but I didn't want my mom to find out. So I had to put it in a place where she never found out." And she shows her that she did a little tattoo inside her lip. And then this is how Blake Lively responds.
So I
got one on my gallbladder because I wanted to make sure no one saw it. So I was just like, it was a tricky process, but no, I'm not.
That response to me is not very pleasant. It's very belittling, like making fun of this reporter for doing what she did. And that's the kind of pattern I've seen with Blake Lively. As you know, she did kind of the same thing to me, which is another thing that they brought up in this interview, talking about the costume and the fashion and how important it is to her. But when I asked about the fashion, I was a sexist. You would never ask the men about that. She also said that, "Thank you for acknowledging me as a producer in the film." So it's obvious that she wants people to think of her more than just an actress. And the way this whole interview is just like, she talks about this as it is her movie. As I said before, she doesn't even mention Baldoni, doesn't mention the director. It's all about her and Ryan and how much influence they had on this film. The rest of the interview is a lot of word salad, just babbling. It's so funny to me when I see these interviews now, because I've had like experience so many times before when I've interviewed people. You sit there and they talk a lot, and then you're kind of a little nervous in the moment, so you don't think too much about what they're saying, although you try to come up with follow-up questions and everything. And then sometimes you go home and watch the interview afterwards. And then I'm like, they didn't say anything of substance in this interview. And I feel that's such a Hollywood thing to do. You just like, especially actors, because they can be very pretentious. I just recognize that so many times, and I recognize that in so many of Blake Lively's interviews when she's talking about the feminine and the masculine and how it all came together. And, you know, and I'm like, the feminine and the masculine come together. Yeah, anyways. All right, guys, that's it from me this time. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and please keep commenting and giving me your thoughts on things. I really appreciate your feedback so much. You have no idea. And yeah, subscribe if you haven't. Hit the notification button so you don't miss an episode of Flawsome Talk, and I'll see you in my next episode. Bye.